Hi, my name's Cameron Carlson with AnimeLocation.tv. I'm here at Ohayocon 2018 with my friend Mr. Chris
Moujaes.
Thank you! So how did you get started in the world of entertainment?
Well, I actually started in the ad business first. I ran an ad agency for many years, and then I'd always wanted to get into entertainment, but it's very difficult to break into. So I started doing that, and then I ended up opening my own contract service animation company that we had a studio in India, and we had a studio in the US. And so we were doing all sorts of contract animation, like for video games and for television shows. When I sold that, I had known the guys out at Funimation who were looking to start an original entertainment group, and they brought me on board to start that department and build it from scratch. And so that was an opportunity of a lifetime to do that, and I spent 7 years producing original anime and films for them. So that was a lot of fun.
Which we'll touch on. Yeah. So how did you, what exactly is a producer, and what can producers do differently compared to, like, say, a director?
So producers can have many different roles. You know, there's different types of producers. Typically a producer is going to be, coupled with a director who's going to be more of the creative side of things, and the producer is going to be the one who's handling the financing, dealing with the budget, doing the contracts with the talent, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes there's producers who come on and they're more creative than business, and that can be kind of a mess. But typically the producer is the one who's wrangling everything and makes the production happen. That's why they call it a producer.
Makes sense. So again, do you see the anime companies flooding the market with titles in the future? Do you feel it's going to be business as usual going forward, like with the streaming services and stuff?
I don't think it's going to be business going as usual for anyone going forward. I mean, the business has been turned upside down over the last 10 years. Right. Now with streaming, everyone expecting content for free or relatively for free on Netflix and things like that. They wait and they don't go to the movies anymore. Nope. Because they're like, why pay $20 when I'm going to go to Netflix and go watch it later when it comes out,
For on that $10 a month.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's not going to be different. Everyone, not only the anime companies, but even major studios are struggling with how this new ecosystems work. It really came upon them very quickly.
It was very fast.
Yeah, it was very fast. It's similar to what happened to music when Napster and all that was happening.
Right.
We're going through the same thing with home entertainment.
Growing pains.
Yes.
All right, so with the anime series getting its first exposure, say, on a streaming site, as we talked about, like Crunchyroll or somebody like that, is there a danger of, like, say, good animes not getting the right sense of exposure to potentially survive? Like, Gami Ga Kill, and, like, those shows got streaming service, and they boomed, and they quit, and then they just went, nobody talked about them anymore. Yeah. So, like, where do you foresee, like a really good one that just gets buried and, like, all of a sudden nothing being able to get exposure?
That's I was just talking about this earlier, was that's the problem nowadays with the streaming culture, is that they're used to receiving everything on Netflix upfront or Funimation or whatever. I think Funimation and Crunchyroll simuldub. Yeah. But with the Netflix culture, for example, stuff goes up, even anime goes up all the way. It's up there, people binge it and go away. Right? And that's the problem. And I think the only way that's going to prevent the kind of situations you're talking about is that they have to start staggering that content and holding some of it back, because people burn through it and they're done. There's nothing special to it anymore. I watched the whole thing. I had a whole experience. What's next? And I got to wait another year for this stuff to come out. You can't build a franchise off that.
I mean, me personally, I buy.
Yeah.
So I don't do streaming for kind of the reasons you're talking about. I like to, I'll binge it when I buy it, but then I wait a while and then I'll buy another series and then binge that one. But I don't like streaming. It just doesn't feel like I own it, like, as my own collection stuff. And then on top of that, I don't feel that it's just, I kind of feel like having the need to have it on my shelf and that I want it and I can rewatch it whenever I want. I don't have to wait for the internet.
Well, luckily anime is still that way, where that the general entertainment business, when it comes to, like, general movies, has really been tanking in terms of DVD and Blu-ray sales, but anime has still kind of been holding a little steady because people want that collector experience. But that's never gonna, until they make the change to that. And I understand. I was young kid once too, with no money to buy stuff. It's like it's not only having no money when you're young and starting out, but it's also the culture that we've been raised, where everything's free on the internet. So those things combined create a situation where it's difficult to create a viable business model off that. So
sometimes free isn't better.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Alrighty, and now it says in your bio that you used to, as we talked about, work for Funimation producing films over there. What was it like working with them on doing those films for that 7 years you were over there?
Funimation is really an incredible company, and I don't work there anymore, so I'm not paid to say that. So they're really great. I have a lot of great friends there. The CEO, Gen Fukunaga, and I are great friends, and he and I worked very closely together on all these films. And I'll tell you that it's a great bunch of people there. I learned so much while I was there, being really immersed in that culture, and also being able to go and specifically specialize in anime was a rare opportunity to do that. There's not many people do that. So, and I was also able to touch every part of the process, because our group was maybe 6 people under me for the whole film division, right? It was me and like 6 other people. That's it. But we were producing. At our height, we were producing like 8 movies at one time.
Yeah, you guys were when I think back in time. Yeah.
We were doing some big stuff, and it was a lot for us to handle. But we did everything. We did, the contract negotiations to get the rights. We hired the actors. We dealt with SAG. We did,
Yay, SAG.
SAG. And we also did. We hired the directors, the composers, the production studios. If they were animated movies in Japan, we'd have to hire the studios in Japan. Then we'd have to. Work with the distribution group. We'd have to work with the marketing group. So we got to do everything. So it gave me a start to finish perspective on everything.
And how hard it is.
It's hard, even for Funimation, even for Crunchyroll, even for Disney and Warner Brothers. This is not easy anymore. That's why they only make the big franchise movies.
Right? Hey, Marvel, hi.
Yeah, that's right.
Alrighty, so we talked privately about some of this stuff, and we talked about Sony being acquiring Funimation. What do you expect for them to bring to the anime table as far as the distribution goes? I mean, do you feel that they might be able to start putting out commercials on normal television to get more fans like that wouldn't be normal to anime out?
Well, I think Sony gives Funimation a much bigger footprint. Funimation was primarily a domestic North American company, although they do distribute to like the UK and Australia. But now, with them coupled with Sony, now they can distribute anime worldwide, and also they can help having Sony's brand and heft behind them. And also because Sony is an investor in a lot of anime back in Japan through their music division and such, there are a lot of committees. They can help get big titles and hopefully start making someday inroads into making anime more out of just being a niche market.
And a widespread.
What needs to happen in anime is what happened to comic books, right? Comic books used to be the same thing,
like
in the corner, but now it's like chic to like comic books, and they're big, huge franchises. The same possibility is possible with anime. It just someone needs to take the proper risk with it, and they need to make it a real effort to do it.
And again, Sony has that ability. So that'll be fun. Now we're gonna get more on you, along with the industry, and we're gonna talk about your webcomic, Flux Dynasty. It's a webcomic, Destiny. I can totally talk. I do this for a living. So how's it going for you? And can you give us like an explanation for people who may have not been able to catch up with you and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, sure. So Flux Destiny is it started off as a graphic novel series I did online a year and a half ago. And in a year and a half, it really took off. I have about 30,000 fans now based on it. So they started reacting to the material because it's based in a universe where Destiny itself is a visible, controllable force. Mm-hmm. And so I started making this, intellectual property based on it. And then I just recently released my first book, product placement. You can get it on Amazon. Called Flux Destiny Fortuna's Rings. It's the first in a series of novels based on it. I took all the knowledge of all my years in the business and decided to apply it to my own work. Nice. And that's paid off because of that, right? I've been burned so many times. I've been on both the creator side and the studio side, and so I've managed to use that now to my benefit and to help others, navigate their way through.
I mean, it sounds cool and everything. I'm glad that it's been doing well, successful for you. So it says in your bio that you happen to work as president at Boomstar Inc. Yeah. How was that job working out with the people all over the world in video games and television and stuff like that? So how's it going for Boomstar Inc.?
It was really great working with them and doing. That's the company that I had sold before I went to Funimation, and that experience took me all over the world. All over the world to do to really opened me up to the market and to get into the kids animation space and to start doing video game contract work, and also so it was an incredible experience. Those people were really great, and they were a great foundation to. If it wasn't for Boomstar, I would have never ended up at Funimation. So it's been great.
Hooray! So you also worked with Spoonben Inc. as well as which is a booking agency. How's that process? Oh, branding. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so go ahead. Tell us how that process all works. Like most fans don't know some of this side of the industry, so the more we learn about it, the more we can appreciate that side to it. So how does a branding agency work differently than, I guess, a booking agency?
Well, it's very different because a lot of people have maybe a collection of skills, but they're missing like the business side or the marketing aspect of what they're doing. They may have great art, but they don't know how to brand themselves as a studio, for example, and then to develop their business. A branding agency like Spoonbend develops brands for people and companies, right? So not only the logos, but the messaging for them. How do you message yourself? We also developed the advertising, television advertising, and things like that. So we were the agency that did all that for all those people, and you know what, major companies go to branding and advertising agencies to do that. Because they specialize in that kind of stuff. So
instead of having that department in your facility, you would just hire that out. But it's the best part is that facility only does that type of work for you. Then.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, that works out. Okay, cool. It also says in your bio that you used to be the current head of HeroClix, right? Or Helix. I talk. Another destination.
That's actually my company now.
Okay, so go ahead. Speak about your company right now.
Yeah, so Hero Helix is the studio I formed for myself, and so under that I do, I produce original work. I produce other people's films and TV shows. We finance movies. We help put the financing together for things. We produce and distribute Flux Destiny. We also do a lot of, this is maybe boring to some people, but a lot of the green light work that it takes to approve a movie is what I do. I'm the one who goes, and the major studios will come to me and hire me as a consultant to help determine whether they should greenlight a movie. And so I'll do, analysis for them, and then they'll take that to their board and decide whether they want to do a movie. I actually tell a lot of people that they should really understand that this is show business, not to focus just on the show part, because the business part, that when you learn to appreciate both sides of it, that's what gets you out of just being, a street artist into something that's much more commercially viable. You have to understand the business. Yeah. You have to. So.
Alrighty, so finishing things up here, where can we find you out on the internet?
So you can go to fluxdestiny.com, fluxdestiny.com. You can go to facebook.com/fluxdestiny. That's where you can find the fandom, and that's where I do live streams, and we post all sorts of stuff. Have a very active fandom there. On Instagram, Flux Destiny, Twitter, Flux Destiny. So those are the primary places you can find me at.
Okay, and now, totally forgot, but are there any upcoming projects you want fans to know about that aren't behind a pesky NDA wall?
The only one I can really talk about would be one of my reboots of an old series I used to do called Cause Effect. It was a band of this rock band that's trying to stop these evil pop stars from taking over the world. That's an old series I did years ago, and I'm rebooting it. So that's the only one I can publicly talk about, but it's still a little bit in development. But
all right, and a final message for the fans that have kept up with you and been supportive of you all the way back from your ad agency stuff all the way up to now.
I cannot thank them enough. I mean, I'm telling you, I know it sounds cliche because everyone says on YouTube, oh, thank you to the fans, but sincerely, I have people who've been following me for years and have been supporting my work, even during my hiatus when I was at Funimation. Yeah. People waited and came back, and they were the foundation for when I started Flux Destiny again. I have fans who come and help me. I have one fan who came all the way from Tennessee just to come up here and see me and help me at the booth. So shout out to Candace over there. So thank you to all of them so much for that. I really appreciate it, bottom of my heart.
Hey Chris, it's been so wonderful to talk to you about industry and be all that type of stuff. A lot of fans don't know it, and we need to just get it out there some more. So thank you yet again, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you.